Hello, Yuki Bandit. So another classic ukulele club song, Folsom Prison Blues. So our man Malcolm had ripped it up the fretboard with the intro riff and impressed everyone, and people decided they wanted to learn it. Unfortunately, some of the versions that are out there are in the wrong key to the one that we strum along with. So our strum version's in the key of C, and there's a lot of versions on YouTube you'll see are in F and G, and not many in C that have the lead attached to it. So I've actually transcribed the lead from the actual original song, transcribed it into the key of C, and it pretty much is what everyone else is playing, just in the correct key for our version on the chords. So if you come across the key of C chords, which are on our website, then that will be compatible with this version. So you play this little lead intro before you get into the song, and then later on there's a little solo that's on the guitar, which is quite nice, and I've transcribed that bit as well for us. If you're familiar to the other ways of playing it and the other keys, obviously you're going to find it a little bit awkward for your fingers at first, because you've got to learn a new way of approaching it or playing it. But if you're just starting out, this would be the easiest version, easiest way of playing it. It's all within the key scale of C, or key of C. It's in all our area where we play our C, F and G chords, so it's fairly straightforward from that perspective. Anyway, so I have done videos on how to read the tabs, so I won't spend too much time on there. If you're not sure, I just did the hold line melody as well and explained it a bit more in there. So just a very brief look. We've got our first string, which is here at the top, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the one that's nearest to the floor, which is our A string, 1A. So 1A, 2E, 3C, 4G. So we're going to start the riff, and we're going to start it on the E string on the 3rd fret, which is our 2nd string, and we're going to play that 3 times. You'll notice I will play this with my 2nd finger, just because I'm playing on the 3rd and the 2nd fret. Just in that first riff, I'm just playing on those 2 frets only, and these are my 2 stronger fingers, and it makes sense. I don't have to use any other fingers or move my hand at all. So just this first bit goes 3, 3, 3, and then 2, rest, 2. Now when you're resting, you play the note and you just take the pressure off. You can let it ring if you want to, or you can go. It depends on what effect or what sound you want. It really doesn't matter too much. It's not going to be that obvious or that noticeable. So 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, and then I'm back up. You notice I go back up to the same finger. You notice when I'm doing this, I keep my fingers very close to the fretboard. The trick whenever you're playing anything really is to keep the fingers as close as you can to the notes. If you lift them off really far, so if I do a version where I lift off really far, do that, there's a lot of movement, a lot of energy, a lot of waste there, so you've got to do everything. It's got to be economical. You've got to be, notice I'm hardly moving there, and keep your fingers as close to those notes. It might take a bit of thought process or a bit of work to get a tongue hanging out your mouth to get your fingers all to stay in the right places to start with. That's okay. You work on just pick one riff, you work on it, and you get the fingering right, the technique right. The next riff, the next pattern you learn will be a lot easier. So, and it's a really cool intro as well. So 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3. And now this bit's really cool. This is a bend. So what you've got here is you've got this circular note, which means it's a longer sounding note. That's all it means, that circle. So it's just a longer sounding note. And then you've got this symbol, which is bending down. So we bend it down and then pull it back up again to pitch. Don't get worried about how far you're pulling it. I mean, you don't want to pull it too far. You just pull it far enough. If anything, as a measure, because this should be what we call a half step. So you only bend it to sound like, and what that means is 1 fret. So half step on a ukulele is the same as going 1 fret. So you can hear when I bend it, I'm trying to match the sound of that note, because I'm stretching the note to sound higher in pitch. So that's what I'm aiming for, to be, if you want to be really picky and really accurate with it. But if you can just get a little bit of pressure, bend it down so you can hear it bend. If you can hear it bend, you're more or less going to be in a half pitch. If you've got really heavy hands and you've got really strong fingers, you'll probably get it'll be an overbend, and you'll get a pitch that's a little bit higher, and it will sound a bit weird. So just be conscious of that. You just want it to sound good. Don't bend it too far. And that's all you do. You bend it, pull it back up, and then play the open note. So once again. And then I'm into the song, you know, so you do. So that little riff, and then I put that little C pattern at the end of the bar here, so you can see. So that's how you read it and play it. Hopefully that makes sense. And then this little C chord, this is where you start the C chord, and then you start singing the song. You'll be in the song then. And what I've done is like a country pattern. So we'll do this alternate technique, where we're literally starting open on the 3rd string, and then strum, and open on the 4th strum, or if you like, open on the C, and then open on the G. So you're basically going to play, this is how it would go. You can do it the other way around. And you can do it on any note, really. The idea is to get this alternate note pattern where it sounds jumpy. So in country, where this, like you're riding a horse, you're going up and down on the horse. Sorry, that's the only thing I could think of at the time. It just come to me that. So the idea is you're playing a note, and the strum is the bit that's jumping up. So you get this alternate note played in between. That's it with the thumb. So with the fingers, with the nail, you get a different sound. It's a bit sharper sounding. And it's a little bit less accurate because obviously you've got to get into the note. You could use a pick, or you could even use an alternate technique where you pluck it, you finger pick it, the claw hammer style if you like. Or you could use, so we've got the thumb and then the stroke. That's more like, I would say, a little bit more traditional, where you're using the thumb and then you're using the fingers to do the nail to do a strike, if you like, or a strum. You choose. It's a personal preference thing. It doesn't really matter. When you're in a group of people, it's nice to have lots of variances anyway. We don't all be doing the same thing. So I would play around with it. Thumb, or you can pluck, or you can use the nail to strike it. Like I said, it's almost like holding a pick. You can hold a pick, which I think I've got a pick somewhere. It's a counter, but that'll do. So you get a different sound. Some are louder, some are brighter, some are warmer, some are more comfortable with your fingers. Depends on the size of your hands, the size of your ukulele. So many elements to it. You know, it's about sounding good. If it sounds good, experiment, choose. There isn't a right or wrong. The right or wrong will be, does it sound good? Yes. Does it sound bad? No. That would be the right or wrong. Anyway, you get the gist. So moving on swiftly. So that little pattern, just explain what that is. There's a nice way, instead of just doing a straight strum all the way through the notes. I know it's a little bit more complex. Practice something like this, because it's a country feel style song and it's got that style. Then obviously if you're playing in that style, just like in the other videos I've done where I talk about swing rhythm. So if you're playing a swing feel song, use a swing feel rhythm. If you're playing a country-esque song, use a country style rhythm. That will be the way I would go, because then the songs sound more authentic and more like they should. And there might be a bit of work involved in learning all these styles rather than just playing them very straight, but it's worthwhile if you put the time in. So anyway, so looking at this lecture over, so we're looking at this next line. So I'm looking at this one here. I'm just going to raise it above my head. So here we got bars 6 to 10. And the difference, it's the same thing. This is for people that are a little bit more advanced. So if you haven't got the top bit, don't forget this bit, because it's a bit more advanced. But for people that are a little bit more advanced in their playing and want to do something a little bit more interesting, then you can mingle it in with the chords, because on the record the chords are being played underneath, and then the little lead riff is played over the top. If you're playing with a group, it doesn't matter because you've got the group playing the chords and someone can play the lead over the top. But if you did want to add a little bit more interest for your solo play, if you like, then you're literally doing the melody 3 3 3 2 chord 2 chord. So what I did is I played the melody as is above. The difference is I'm strumming a G in between. And, you know, vary it the sound so you can hear the sound. The thumb's just nice and easy and comfortable, and I get a nice warm tone, but it really doesn't matter. And then you're playing 3 G one more time, so you're playing on the 3. So you're holding a G chord down essentially for the whole thing. So you're holding a G and you're playing 3 3 3, and then 2 strum 2 strum 3 strum. So I didn't move my fingers at all. Where the other one we're being, where you move in your fingers, I try to make it obvious. We want your fingers as close as you can. Obviously, I'm just making it obvious where I'm putting my fingers. Where this one, you're just literally holding the G chord because the notes are all within a G chord, and you can see that above. If you hold a G chord down, which incidentally you can play the first line like that if you want. You can hold the G chord down and play those notes. I just don't want to make it too complex when you think about doing too many things. So if you just want to play it with individual fingers or the closest finger, that's absolutely fine. But if you can get used to playing it within the chord, you'll get all these notes ringing together a little bit nicer, because the idea is that you're not taking your fingers off and stopping the note from sounding. And then the little bend at the end, your finger will come off this because we want to. Now you can bend it up, or you can pull it down. The rule is the higher up on the neck you are, so if you're nearer the top, you don't want to bend it up and then be off the edge of the neck. Although it's a half bend, it should be fine. A bend down is a little bit better when you're if you're down here on the first string, you'd need to bend up, because you can't bend it down off the fretboard. So I take my finger off of the bend, and then I'm in the C, and then I'm playing that pattern I showed you before. So the difference is, one's just concentrating on just playing the notes that you can hear over the top, in other words the lead guitar part. By using individual fingers and the stronger fingers, you'll get a nice clear sound. But if you hold the chord down, you'll get them ringing together, and it's slightly different. And you can, if you hold the chord down, you can actually play the chord in between the notes. So that's a really good way of doing it. And then you're in the song, and we're in the key of C, so you just bash through those chords that we've got on the site. And that's the intro. So hopefully that helps, and you should have some fun with that. If you want to do a little bit more lead and you're really getting into the zone and you want to fire up the fretboard and show off a bit, then you could do, so there's nothing on there, it's just rest. I'm going to put it there. You could do this little solo. So there's a really cool little solo, and I think the riff's so catchy and it's so cool to learn. So we're going to have a little go. I'd break that down and explain all these weird symbols. It does look kind of intricate, I guess is the word, but all you need to focus on is how it sounds, how to play it, where to put your fingers, what the notes are, etc. You don't need to worry about all these technical aspects of it, because if you're playing it wrong, it will sound wrong. So here we go. We've got a slide. That's what the SL means. SL means slide, and we're sliding to the third, from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the C string. And I'm doing this with the 3rd finger. My 3rd finger is quite strong, and I'm getting a nice clean slide sound. And then I'm coming down with the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and then the 1st fret on the 1st string, or the A string. So C string 3 to 4, then the E string, and then the A string. And that's 3 4 3 1 3 1. You could play it further up that last note, but I think this is a little bit easier and a little bit nicer, especially it keeps you all within the chords. And the more you can keep these riffs close to where the chords are, the easier it is to get back into them and eventually mingle them in if you go that far. So we've got the first bit, 3 4 3 1 3 1, And this symbol here, just this little bracket here, it means it's ringing over. So it goes 3 4 3 1 3 1, and it's ringing. That's all it means. It's just ringing. So you don't play this note at all. It's just letting you know that the 1 rings over into the next bar, and you don't even need to know about the beats and the bars at the moment. Listen to it, and then you literally replicating what you're hearing. 3 4 3 1 3 1. Let it ring, and then the last note here in the phrase is 3. The reason it's got a circle around it is just because it's a longer note than the others. It's just to identify that it's a longer note. This software program, by the way, is called Guitar Pro, but you can write drums, guitar, ukulele, mandolin, banjo, all sorts of instruments on it. And it's what I use for, obviously, our lessons. It's a very good software program. So these little symbols are extra symbols to help us identify the length of the notes without having to read music as such. So here we go, 3 4 3 1 3 1 3, and then we do it again, 3 4 3 1 3 3 3 1. The difference is we don't play the 3 at the end. So if I highlight it, you'll be able to see it. So that phrase there goes, let it ring, and then you play the next phrase, which is there, 3 4 3 1 3 ring, and let it ring. Yeah. You don't have to play it that quick, but I just thought I would. So the idea is, roll my sleeve back. So the thumb, first finger and second finger, I played every note. So I played it like this. So you're looking at my right hand at the moment. You can pluck it to get an extra little bit of power, a little bit of effect, or you could use the thumb. Or you could use a combination. Like I said, it's not a big deal if you come up with your own way of playing it. The wrongs and the rights really don't exist if it sounds good. So I'll say it again. So at the end of the day, play what you can. Even if you want to use a pick, and obviously with a pick it will just sound louder. So be aware of that. So that little phrase there. So the first phrase and the second phrase should sound like this. 3 4 slide, 3 on the second, 1 on the first, 3. And then the second phrase, it just finishes on the 1. And then we go to the next line. You see it hangs over the bar here, this little number here, and then the slide 3 to 4. It's just because it starts a little bit earlier. Basically, it's this same phrase twice. That's all it is. So the whole solo is just those two phrases. And really, that first phrase there, if you've learnt that, the difference is you don't play the last note. So just to give you an idea of how simple it is and how complicated it looks, this is going to screw everything up. Like, I'll do this. I should be able to undo it in a minute. I won't save it. So if I delete that bar and even delete that note, delete the beat. Right, that is all you've got to learn for the solo. So all the other stuff, it's to fill it out so you can see the whole solo written out from note to note. But it is literally just that. So you've got 3 4 3, 3 1 3 1 3. The second time round, don't play that note, and then you do that again. And then you're back into F chord, C, G7, and then back into the C. So that little riff just goes over a C chord. And you go on and on. It's a lovely little, I mean, obviously there's a lot going on there if you want to add all the little finger picking things, but if you're just strumming and then you just stop and do that riff, and if there's someone playing the chords underneath, it sounds really cool. I'm going to undo my deletes to see if it all comes back. Okay, so these are on our website. These are as written. These are all on our website, obviously. And so the whole solo is written out there from note to note, but it is just that one phrase. So you've got the lead part, and you've got a breakdown, a little bit more of an advanced version for the intro, and then the least you can do is just do that. Just do that. Just do the you know, and then play the song. And just learning that would be really cool. Be a little thing to impress your buddies with at dinner parties, maybe. I don't know. But that would make you look, oh, he's good at ukulele, because they normally hear just the strumming. You sort of whip out a few notes and then people take note. But then obviously the country strum I really like. I think that's a really cool way of playing. And then you've got a slightly more advanced version for people that feel like a little bit more confident and cocky. And then you've got this cool little solo here, which I think sounds really epic. And if you can learn that and play that. And this works perfectly over the key of C. If you're doing it along with any other songs, there are tabs out there for the other keys. This is the easiest version, and it's the version that we play in our little ukulele group. So anyway, I'll sign out there. Have a good one. Hope you enjoy that, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, boys.